This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Roll. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the National Insurance Board rolling out a new feature to benefit residents around the Bahamas. Today in the nation's capital, the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, hosted a press conference to launch another exciting component of the National Insurance Board's new administration system. Now, simultaneously around the country, local dignitaries were also present for the announcement of the unveiling of the new NIB card, and Grand Bahama was no exception. For 40 years, residents of the Bahamas have used a small yellow slip of paper as their national insurance card. But today, an official launch took place throughout the country, as a new attractive digital hard plastic will now replace the current paper registration card. During the launch, a member of the National Insurance Board, Ann Hunt, told those in attendance that this governmental agency is making significant strides. She calls the new card a giant leap forward in technology.
I would venture to say that in its 40 years of existence, it has surpassed even modest expectations of performance. This can be seen in the strides it has made this year alone. In March, NIB introduced a registrant self-service facility that is allowing registered persons around the country easy and convenient access to their personal information and the ability to view and download their contribution statements from their computers.
The new NIB card displays the islands of the Bahamas, the coat of arms, the country's flag, and the NIB logo. Assistant Manager Sophia Carey says the card was designed with security in mind.
The smart chip provides the potential for data storage of up to 64K, and this was intentionally incorporated for future usage for the storage of encrypted data. For example, more of national insurance data, data for the National Prescription Drug Plan, and many other areas. There are multiple secure sectors on the chip, allowing for multi-purpose use. The card will be issued to all persons registered with the National Insurance Board. Every card will bear the registrant's national insurance number, their name in full, but only persons 16 years and older will have their photos on their cards.
She says the card for seniors also include special features.
In the case of seniors who are pensioners, the card will also bear a reminder to them for their monthly verification twice a year. Every card that is printed indicates the authorized signature, the gender of the card holder, and the number of reprints that the individual has already had. In all cases, except for the seniors, there will be featured on the card an expiration date.
Now, the new card will come at no cost to persons who are registered with NIB. A special registration drive will take place tomorrow at the Freeport local office and next Thursday at the 8 Mile Rock office, High Rock, and West End sub-offices from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In other news, Okeanos Heart Institute announcing the appointment of an adipose stem cell research pioneer to its cardiac cell therapy medical team on Grand Bahama. Dr. Todd Milan will serve as Chief Cell Therapy Officer and General Surgeon. He will perform oversee the liposuction step of Okeanos treatment, which is the removal of a small amount of fat from patients from which their own stem cells are isolated. Dr. Milan became the first physician in the United States to utilize adult stem cells from fat tissue for soft tissue reconstruction. Now, he has served as a principal investigator on 2 Institutional Review Board approved adult stem cell trials. Okeanos will begin treating advanced heart disease patients in Freeport this summer. Cardiac cell therapy is intended for no-option heart patients who have exhausted the currently available standards of care for their condition, of which there are about 2 million in the United States alone. And it has been 1 week since local businessman Cedric Hepburn was gunned down on Fortune Bay Drive, and police are continuing the reach for the assailant. Now, as crime continues to grab headlines and the government works to curtail this menace to society, local residents are voicing their concerns. Sabrina Brown reports.
Greg Bullard knows all too well the effects of crime. His 23-year-old son Joshua was gunned down in the Fawcett Lane area last October. The senseless killings continue to rock this nation. Just last week, businessman Cedric Hepburn was shot to death while walking in the Fortune Bay area. Bullard is concerned that serious crime is eroding the moral fabric of our society.
Particularly with murders, so many of them are not solved because the witnesses are terrified by the fact that criminals, murderers, will come after them. There has to be a way where the government can protect them long term.
This concerned resident, along with youth leader Dudley Sade, would like to see the reinstatement of capital punishment.
I think a lot of the crime that is happening, particularly the murders, has to be stemmed with force. Criminals understand one language, and the language they understand is force. We have to enforce the laws on the books. And while capital punishment is not the only answer, it is one answer.
Everybody wants everyone else to solve crime, but I think what the government needs to do, Sabrina, start to send a message.
Elkanah Pinder is also disturbed by the high level of crime in the country.
We need to sit down and rewrite our laws on how we're going to deal with senseless killing and rape and this kind of malice that this country is festering. I don't know where this comes from.
Sade is appealing to the criminal element to think seriously about the acts they're committing, while Pinder is calling for divine intervention.
You're hurting so much families. When you kill one person, you kill about 5 persons. You kill the person mother, you kill the person father pretty much, and all the cousins. We have a problem in the Bahamas.
The government should allow our country 1 hour across this Bahamas so that everyone can pray and only fast for 1 hour.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
An East End family is still mourning the loss of a loved one who was killed in a traffic accident over the weekend. Tonight, the mother of the victim is talking about her tragic loss. Joan Davis-Roll has the story.
When I saw the car, I knew there was no way he could have made it out of that car alive.
It is a parent's worst nightmare, and early Saturday morning, it became a horrifying reality for Christine Lang Marshall's family. Her son, 24-year-old Ramon Lang, was tragically killed in a 2-car collision.
I got a phone call on my cell, and I was asked if I had known that my son was in an accident. I told him no one had called me as yet, so I had no information. And afterwards, my nephew had called me asking me the same thing, so I told him I was getting ready to head down to the Rand at the same time. And I had no idea that it was, it would have ended in this way. I was still hoping to see him alive.
The deadly crash has left this East End family in a state of shock and with more questions than answers. The grieving mother recalls the final time she saw her son alive. Now, in retrospect, she says, there was a moment that could have been a warning sign that something tragic was about to happen.
When was the last time you saw him? I saw him on Thursday morning when he was getting ready for work. Yeah, he was in the kitchen preparing, because he normally prepare food to take for lunch. So that was the last time I saw him.
And anything particularly you remember that he said to you, or something that was just out of the norm?
No, but for some reason, while I was at work yesterday, it was like almost 3 o'clock. I just had this funny feeling. I thought I was going to pass out. This funny feeling came over me. So I don't know. I never felt that way before. And but because on Mother's Day he was away. He went off to one of his cousins' graduation. So he texted me and he told me Happy Mother's Day.
She notes that this is not the first time that the Lang family has been struck by tragedy.
His father was in an accident. It's like 9.5 years ago. And actually, I thought the car his father came out of was in bad condition, but it's nothing to compare with his car.
Ramon, an employee of Statoil, was her eldest child. She says he was quiet and had a passion for his profession.
He attended Jack David. He graduated in, that was 2007. And he attended COB after that, and then he was recently doing some online classes.
This is interesting.
He was doing electrical engineering actually in high school. Yeah, because he did the GCSE and he passed it with an A, so he was very good at it.
As his family continues to grieve, the victim's mother had this advice for the younger generation.
It really hit us hard because we really weren't expecting something like this to happen, and you know, that's why I would say to parents, just love your children and hold your family dear. And you know, it's in times like this, if you don't know God, you really wouldn't make it. Because right now, I think that's all that has me right now standing, because I know God. And even though right now it feels like my head is want to burst open, I know that God is still in control, and it has to be for a reason. And I hope that this accident doesn't go to naught, that some young person would come to know Jesus, you know, because you have to be ready at all times, because you don't know what your end is going to be.
Joan Davis-Rowe, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. The Bomb is Tonight. The Northern Edition continues right after this.